Hello and welcome everybody to ACTV Game 2 of this home opener for the Adrian College Bulldogs against the Alma Scots. Robbie Alexander joined here by my colleague Cody Alexander. If you missed Game 1, it was a doozy. Bulldogs take it in 9 innings by a score of 3-2. Walk-off hit by Hunter Hayes with the bases loaded. More importantly, they get a win to start MIAA play in pitcher Tommy Parsons. Got career win number 31, takes the all-time wins record for Adrian College. But up pitching for game number 2, it's the number 2 pitcher, it's Pierce Banks.
Yes, he was named the D3Baseball.com Mideast Rookie of the Year last year and tabbed to their All-Mideast first team. Struggling a little bit to start this year. In his last start, he went 5 2/3, picked up his first win of the year, but still gave up 3 runs. So looking to get back to his freshman season form here this afternoon.
And he fires a strike in there to the leadoff man, first baseman Max Trucks, to start this game. And misses with that fastball. Outside, evens the count up at 1-1. Rest of the Alma Scots lineup. We've got catcher Jarrett Coyne in the 2-hole, shortstop Van Acker in the 3-hole. Trucks fouls that one back. Designated hitter Josh Riggs, who pitched the first game. He's in the 4th spot. Batting fifth is third baseman Logan Hough. 6th, right fielder Matt Monado. We've got number 7 is the left fielder Jordan Standig. Batting 8th is the second baseman Austin Roeski. And in center field, batting 9th, Pete Caravella. Another ball right there by Pierce Banks brings the count to 2-2. Bulldogs defensively lining up pretty much the same as the first game. We have a difference in DH, which we'll get to in the bottom half. But as far as the guys behind Pierce Banks, it's the same. Torreno muffs that one on the first opportunity of game number 2. And much like game number 1, it starts with an error and a man aboard for the Alma Scots.
Not what you want to see, especially after the first game where there was a few defensive miscues that drew the game out longer than 7 innings. And the Scots, again, much like the first game, have their leadoff man on to start the inning.
It's going to bring up the new catcher for the Scots. It's Jarrett Coyne. And he shows bunt right down the third base line. Darnell will scoop it up, try to go to first for the out. He will, but Coyne does his job by moving Trucks up to second base. The Scots have a man on second with 1 out here in the top of the first. It's going to bring up the shortstop, Van Acker. Acker was 1 for 4 in the last game with a strikeout. Pitch from Banks. Misses high and outside, 1-0.
Continuing on Banks' stats for the year, he's made 3 appearances. He has a 1-1 record. 12 2/3 innings pitched. He's struck out 14 but has walked 8. So his control has been a slight issue so far this year.
And Acker, defensive swing right there, will even the count up at 1-1. Moving to the later hours of this Friday afternoon, as you can see on the broadcast, shadows really starting to creep across the field here at the Nick. Batter's box is completely covered in shadows. Breaking ball, hard breaking ball. It's 1-2. Speed and bite on that pitch.
Yeah, Banks has a very heavy fastball, so it has a lot of downward movement once it gets to the plate. Hitters have a tough time squaring it up when it's working well.
The 1-2. Big swing and a miss. Banks tosses his first chair of the day. And there are now 2 outs on Alma in the top of the first.
Nice hard biting fastball there. Late life today, it looks like, on the fastball.
That's going to bring up the designated hitter, Josh Riggs. Great first game performance Came out with the no decision after it was all said and done, but nonetheless shows that he has some grit. He'll take a breaking ball for a strike to start his at-bat.
Yeah, tough. Took the no decision, but he will definitely be a formidable opponent for MIAA teams this year on the mound.
Kind of reminiscent of Josh Orr when Josh Orr was really just mowing down people. He'd come in, play second base, and just hit the lights out. Big swing and a miss there by Riggs.
You're talking about Kalamazoo's Ryan Orr?
Ryan Orr, yes.
Another tough pitcher in the league.
Almost got a name right today. I'll get it.
But no, you're right. There are a lot of good aces in this league that teams have to look out for.
Banks steps off. A little bit of disagreement between him and Frankie on as to what pitch to throw. Riggs standing very patient in the box. Here's the pitch. High and inside. Bring the count to 1-2. Should he keep the inning going, that would bring up the third baseman, Logan Hough. Pitch from Banks. And he gets him at the knees. Riggs does not necessarily agree with that, but a nice strikeout by Banks. Number 2 of the inning. There's a runner on base, but he's stranded there, and we'll head to the bottom of the first. Still scoreless. Keep it tuned right here to Bulldog Baseball on ACTV. Welcome back to this edition of Adrian College Baseball here on ACTV. Bottom of the first inning in Game 2, Alma versus Adrian. And on the bump for the Scots is right-handed pitcher Joseph Behrens.
Behrens has 3 starts on the year. He's got a 1-1 record. In 21 1/3 innings pitched, he has 16 strikeouts to 3 walks, so pretty good control there. He's got a 2.53 ERA. In his first start of the year on March 1st, versus Capital University, he threw a complete 9-inning game, only gave up 1 run and struck out 5 in a 2-1 victory. So, like Riggs, he has started off pretty well for the season, and the Bulldogs will have to have some patient at-bats in order to break open a game.
And center fielder Zach Schering sees 2 pitches from him so far, ball and a strike, and hits that one right back up the middle, and it's a leadoff single for Zach Schering. Barrels up that one. It's a nice, right back up the box. Nice piece of hitting.
That's what you got to do. You got to hit it where it's pitched, piece together some good at-bats, and you'll start scoring some runs.
So up now for the Bulldogs, it's left fielder Gunnar Rainey. Gunnar was 2 for 5 in that first game. He hits a high fly ball into right field. Monado giving chase to the track to the wall, and it's going to hit off the wall. Shearing's going to go to third, Rainey to second, and it's a double. Ball skirts away. Will be picked up by Hough. And just like that, single double. 2 runners in scoring position for the Dogs with no outs here in the bottom of the first.
Rainey with an absolute bomb to right field. Thought that one had a chance to get out for a second. Don't know if it was the wind or if he had the right backspin on it, but that ball kept going and hits off the base of the wall. Nice piece of hitting by Rainey.
As we said, we have a new designated hitter in Game 2. It is Brady Wood, who was a designated hitter the last game. Walked to load the bases. Eventually, the next batter, Hunter Hayes, would end it on a single. There's a single right back up the middle, a base hit. Shearing's going to score. Rainey will hold that third, but the Bulldogs get an early 1-0 lead on the single by Brady Wood.
3 nice at-bats by the Bulldogs, just stringing together a nice little series of hits, and that's what they got to do. They got to play station-to-station baseball. They're not going to have the power that they did last year, so just keep hitting singles, have the occasional extra base hit, and they'll score a lot of runs.
And it looks like this first inning, they're already doing a really good job finding holes in the infield, hitting it right back up the middle, finding some gaps here and there, and that's going to do a good job for them. First baseman Hunter Hayes thought he held up on that breaking ball, but the umpire says differently, and he has a strike to start his at-bat. Hayes, like we said, won the game in Game 1 on a walk-off single into left field. He ended that game 2 for 5. That hit was his lone RBI. Barinardi in a bit of a jam to start this game. Throws over to first, but Wood back safely. Barons gets his sign from Coyne. Here's the 0-1 offering. Swing and a miss. Hayes caught off guard on that one. Looked a little silly. It's 0-2.
Yeah, out in front of that change piece right there.
Payoff pitch. Slaps out one back to Barons. He'll throw to second. A little bit of miscommunication there. Everybody's safe. Rainey will score from third. And it is now 2-0 Bulldogs with runners on first and second. And it doesn't look like Acker or Roeski communicate on who was going to take the throw if it came back to the pitcher. So Barons threw it to second base, expecting Acker to be there. He threw right through the base, Roeski behind it, and he couldn't step on second base by the time Wood got there.
Yeah, usually you want the shortstop to take the throw in that case because his momentum is going to be carrying him towards the bag. But like you said, just some miscommunication, and the Dogs keep the inning rolling now.
That's going to bring up the right fielder, Tristan Richardson, with a chance to drive in a couple more Dogs here and set the tone for this game number 2 on a beautiful Friday afternoon. Shows bunt down the third base line. Hough comes in to field it, but he's got no chance at anybody, and it's a bunt single for Tristan Richardson. And for the third time this afternoon, we've got 4 waffles and a 3-way toaster. And Dugan Darnell is now up, trying to play the role of master chef and create that continental breakfast.
Well, his bio says that his favorite fruit is chicken noodle soup, but I think he'd be okay with a nice waffle spread here.
Darnell 0 for 3 in game number 1, so he'd really like to see a hit right here. And he takes a strike at the knees to start his count 0-1. Barons trying to work out of this early game jam. Already 4 hits by the Dogs. Darnell swings on that outside pitch. 0-2. corners playing in for the Scots. Middle infield double play depth. Outfield about normal depth. There's a high fly ball into left field and standing giving chase. It's going to go over his head. That's going to score at least one. Brady comes in to score. It's going to score another. And it's a double for Dugan Darnell. Continental breakfast has been made, and the Dogs go up 4-0 early here in game number 2. Looks like that. I don't know if that was a case of Ann Standing losing it in the sun, or it just had a little more carry than maybe he thought it would.
That's what I'm wondering, because it looked like he had a beat, and he kind of froze, but the ball just kept carrying, and all of a sudden he turned and ran, but by that time it had taken too much ground on him. He was able to drop in.
So Wood scores and Hayes scores to make it 4-0. We now have Tristan Richardson on third base. Of course, Darnell gets the double on that. He's on second base. Still no outs for the Dogs.
I'm thinking maybe he might have just misread that ball. The sun shouldn't really be an issue for the left fielder at this point, so that backspin just kind of took off. The ball took off with that backspin, excuse me, a little redundant there, but yeah, just another bad break for the Scots.
Up now is the second baseman, Justin McMahon, 1 for 3 in game number 1. And he'll watch that off-speed offering go by for a strike, 0-1. Stark contrast to the Bulldog bats that first game. They're really seeing Barron's pitch as well so far.
Yeah, it doesn't look like his bender has as much movement as Riggs does. A little flatter. His fastball doesn't have as much cut.
That one off the plate, 1-1. There's the pitch. Foul ball to the backstop. Count goes to 1-2. Now, for those of you who have tuned in to Bulldog baseball broadcast before, you might notice that that mound is a different color. That's because this year they have moved to an all-turf mound. They used to have the dirt mound, but they now have a completely turfed field, the mound being the last piece of that puzzle. There's a little slap shot into left field, and Standig gets that one. Here comes Richardson from third. He will score easily. RBI sac fly for Justin McMahon, and the Dogs make it 5-0 here in the bottom of the first. So runner on second, 1 out now. And up to bat is the catcher, Frankie Resto. That off speed gets past the catcher Coyne. Darnell will scamper into third base. And Resto has an opportunity to drive that man in.
Yeah, that'll be a pass ball on Coynes. He had 16 on the season last year, so a little bit of a rough time behind the plate. There's the pitch from Barons. Frankie fooled by that off speed. It's 1-1. Coynes last year didn't move to behind the plate full time until the start of league action. Frankie again fishing for that outside. We'll foul it off, but it's another strike. It's 1-2. Did Frankie change his bat? I think so. It looks like he's using the bat that Wood uses. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't remember him having that the first game. Baseball is a game. You know, there's some superstition. If your bat's not working, you know, maybe you try another bat. If you start hitting with that, then you got to stick with it. Another foul ball by Resto, this time to the third base side. Now, you haven't called your shot on this at bat. Are you just gonna let it simmer, or are you don't want to give too many of those away? I'm not just gonna hand them out like a freebie.
Another foul ball by Frankie, this time to the right side of the field. I don't hear a car alarm going off, so I think we're safe in that regard.
What do you think? Do you think he'll hit one out this year?
I'm not gonna say no. I think he has some pop in him. I don't know if it's gonna be today, but I think by the end of league play he'll see it. Fishing for that one though, and he'll strike out for out number 2. That's going to bring up the shortstop, Jordan Torrento.
The shortstop, number 39, Jordan Torrento.
0 for 2 in that last game, but a pair of walks, like we said, leading the nation, averaging 2 walks a game. So very good eye at the plate as he watches a ball high right there, 1-0. Pitch from Barons, high fly ball, but out of play on the left side. Crowd not as busy as it was earlier this afternoon, but still some faithful fans out there at the top. Another ball outside, 2-1. A high fly ball into center field. I can't read my own handwriting. Caravala, that's right, and Standing both go for it. Caravala will end up with it.
Maybe you should just type it out next time.
You know, I should, and I think the fans would appreciate that. But nonetheless, Bulldogs scratch across 5 runs here in the bottom of the first. We'll head to the top of the second. Keep it tuned right here to Bulldog Baseball on ACTV. Banks back to work here in the top of the second, 5-0 Bulldogs. After a great start to this game number 2 for them. And up now for the Alma Scots is the third baseman, Logan Hough. Hough 0 for 3 in that first game this afternoon. Banks got off to a quick start in inning number 1, 2 strikeouts. The only base runner allowed was off of the error by Torrento, and he fires a strike in there to start the count 0-1. Soft breeze still blowing out to right field, although it's died down a little bit, and Hough fouls that one straight back. Partner Cody Alexander stepped out of the booth for a minute. He's in pursuit of, I believe he said he wanted something like a snow cone. I don't know why he'd want one. It's so cold out, but nonetheless, he was on a mission. We'll see him come back soon. Meanwhile, Banks tosses another chair, third of the game, and he gets off to a quick start here in inning number 2. It's going to bring up the right fielder, Matt Monado. Monado was 1 for 4 in that first game with a strikeout. Banks fires a ball right there, 1-0. Fastball skips in the turf. 2-0. Banks, much like Parson, very good at controlling the tempo of the games he pitches in. Works a little bit faster than Parsons, but nonetheless, the game is definitely in his control when he's out there. And a defensive swing there by Monado. Count falls to 2-1. Ball misses inside, 3-1 on Monado. Now this game originally scheduled to be 9 innings. It's always game 1, 7 innings, game number 2, 9 innings. But because we went to extra innings in game number 1, this game will now only be 7 innings. Banks loses Monado there, and he's aboard with the walk. Back in the booth is my partner, Cody Alexander. Cody, did you find that snow cone you were looking for?
Nah, it's too cold for them to serve them right now.
Well, maybe next time, you know. I think you would have had better luck with maybe a hot chocolate or something like that.
Yeah, but you know, when you want a snow cone, you want a snow cone.
That's going to bring up the left fielder, Jordan Anstandig. Anstandig 0 for 3 in that first game. First offering from Banks. Fastball high and outside. It's 1-0.
Anstandig transferred to Alma from Saginaw Valley State University. He is from West Bloomfield, graduated from Walled Lake Northern.
It's a high fly ball into center field. Schering camped under it, and will haul it in for the second out of the inning. As Monado will retreat back to first base.
Second baseman number 10, Austin Rusky.
It's going to bring up second baseman Austin Rusky. 0 for 4 in that first game with 2 strikeouts. One of 2 seniors in the Alma Scots lineup today. A big swing and a miss right there on the fastball, 0-1.
Banks' fastball is looking really, really nice today. It's just a nice, hard, late movement.
Almost looks effortless. He looks really comfortable out on the mound so far. Takes a little off on that one, but it falls below the knees, evens the count up at 1-1. Should he keep the inning going, that'd bring up the center fielder, Pete Caravala. There's a little flare in the right field. Richardson giving chase, and a nice running catch as he goes into foul territory and up against the fence. Alma gets 1 man aboard but can't scratch him across. We head to the bottom of the second inning, 5-0 Bulldogs. Keep it tuned right here for more MIAA baseball action on ACTV.
Wow, the second inning, they get no runs on no hits. There were no Adrian errors and 1 left on base.
Bottom of the second here in game 2, 5-0 Adrian. Looking to capture that momentum they had in the bottom half of the first. Joseph Behrens gets back to work. Bulldogs got through all 9 of their players in that first bottom half of inning number 1, so that means that Zach Schering is up again. He led off the game with a single. Here's the offering from Behrens. High fly ball into right field. Monado giving chase up against the fence. And their signal out. Can't really see with the fence the way it jags in, but it nonetheless, 1 down for the Bulldogs to start the bottom half of the second. This is going to bring up the left fielder, Gunnar Rainey. Smashed a double his first time up this game. And he'll watch a breaking ball fall low for ball number 1. Ground ball over to the third baseman, Hough. And will easily get him out for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down for Behrens. They'll bring up the designated hitter, Brady Woods, single and an RBI his first time up. It looks like Behrens has settled down a little bit after that rough first inning. Breaking ball just catches that inner half of the plate. It's 0-1. That fastball falls outside, 1-1.
Wood is a sports management major, and according to his bio, his favorite food is hot dogs, which makes sense because this is America's pastime. Baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet.
You are right there, Cody. Now, do you think he has a leg in the Zenders versus Bavarian debate, or do you think that's not really something that concerns Frankenmuth citizens? There's a flare into right field. Monado giving chase. It's going to find a landing spot outside of the field for a long strike number 2.
You know, I'm sure he has some insight that we don't have, being from the area, but it doesn't say fried chicken on his bio. It says hot dogs.
That's true.
But I'm sure he has more knowledge than we do on this subject.
May have to find him after the game. Maybe a little post-game presser. It's a pitch from Behrens. Curveball. He hits a high pop up into shallow center. Anstandig comes in, but it's the shortstop Acker who will haul it in for out number 3. So after scoring 5 in the bottom of the first, the Dogs go 3 up, 3 down in the second. We head to the top of the third, 5-0 Adrian. Keep it tuned right here for more baseball action on ACTV. Throw down to second base from Frankie Resto means that it's time for the top of the third inning to start. 5-0 Bulldogs as Pierce Banks looks to get back to work after cruising through those first 2 innings.
Leon Morello is center fielder number 4, Pete Carvalho.
Starts that ball low on the center fielder, Pete Caravella. That strike finds the outside corner. Evens count up at 1-1. Shows bunt. That one will find foul territory, 1-2. One-two pitch from Banks. Hard ground ball. Nice diving play by Hayes. Will flip over to first, but not in time. And Alma's aboard with a leadoff infield single. Nice attempt by Hayes.
Yeah, bang played down there at first, but Caravella just able to beat it out. Nice stop by Hayes nonetheless.
We'll head to the top of the lineup for the Scots. It's first baseman Max Trucks. Start the game off by getting on base via the error from shortstop Jordan Torrento.
There's first baseman number 3, Max Trucks.
Caravella, his lead at first, and almost got him with the pickoff, but he just makes it under the tag.
Banks will have to keep an eye on Caravella. He's got a big lead down there at first, and as we've seen earlier today, he does have speed.
Finds the outside half of the plate for that one, and it's 0-1.
Trucks graduated from Mount Pleasant High School, and he actually played both baseball and hockey. He was an all-conference player in hockey, and he led his league in goals.
You don't hear that often. You hear a lot of baseball, football, baseball, basketball. You hear a few baseball, hockey, but not all the time.
A lot of times when you play hockey and you're pretty decent at hockey, you usually just stick to hockey once you get to high school.
I think that's something we've seen. I know at our alma mater, Lake Fenton, we had about 3 or 4 that ended up quitting baseball to pursue hockey. So that might be why it sounds weird. Usually you get football,
a lot of people
baseball.
will take hockey over baseball.
Yeah. Another pickoff attempt by Banks. Safe again. Another close play down at first. Holds his swing up there, but it's a strike. It's 1-2.
Trucks' father, Todd, also played tennis at Furman. It does not look like he followed in his father's footsteps.
Not at all. I would say hockey, especially hockey and tennis, are not that closely related.
I'd say he made the right move with baseball.
I would say so, as he fouls that one back on the third base side of the field.
He's been putting up solid numbers since he's gotten to Alma. Now, do you know how far Alma is from Adrian?
I believe it's about 2 hours, but I wouldn't quote me on that.
I would quote you on that. That's what Google said, exactly 2 hours from here to Alma, which is just south of Mount Pleasant.
All right. I guess I can do some math. Another pickoff, and this time he got him. 3 times the charm, 3rd time over to first. And Caravella is caught napping for out number 1. And I'm not even sure that's a case of napping. I think that's a case of
the excellent
very
footwork.
Close. Yes, very close on the first 2 throws, and finally got him on number 3. So base is now empty with 1 out. And Banks gets back to work on his man with a big swing and a miss there. Tosses him the chair, and there are now 2 down. Trucks retreats back to the dugout. That's going to bring up the catcher, number 9, Jarrett Coyne. Had a sack bunt down the third base line his first time up. So first time he'll really get to swing the bat today. Power fastball misses low. It's 1-0. Should he keep the inning going, that'd bring up the shortstop, Van Acker. Fouls that one straight back. Tyler Simmons, our producer, still a stone wall, 2 for 2 in the not flinching category.
I think we should make that a stat.
We should. I think every time this foul ball, we'll just turn, whip to our left, and just count how many people flinch. Big swing and a miss, had him fool with that off speed, and it's 1-2.
And then we'll calculate the WAR and who's the best at not flinching, and you know.
I think we could get SID director Patrick Stewart in on that. Just add another stat to his list.
We'd bring Laura in too, you know.
Breaking ball, strike 3. Stood there looking like a house on the side of the road, and Jarrett Coyne knew exactly what was going to happen. He just started walking to the dugout. Beautiful pitch.
Beautiful pitch.
We head to the bottom of the third inning. Scott still can't scratch across the run. 5-0 Bulldogs. Keep it tuned right here to Adrian College Baseball on ACTV. Joseph Barron's back to work here in the bottom of the third inning. And leading off for the Bulldogs is the first baseman, Hunter Hayes. Hayes reached aboard. I don't know if you can call it a fielder's choice. A little miscommunication on the throw to second, but he got the RBI on the play. There's a hard ground ball. Over to the shortstop, Acker. Flips the first 4, out number 1. So up to bat now for the Adrian College Bulldogs. It's their right fielder, number 16, Tristan Richardson. Takes a ball outside. Starts his count 1-0. Richardson had a bunt single his first time up. Ground ball down the first base line, but foul. Now, I don't think they finished their walk-up songs because I haven't heard any today. But Tristan Richardson's walk-up song last year was the best one I've heard probably ever. And we got word from catcher Frank Resto that that walk-up song will be used for him again this year. So keep your ears tuned for the next baseball broadcast. Hopefully they have those walk-up songs done, and you may hear a classic for Tristan Richardson as he's fooled on that off speed. Count goes to 1-2. That one just misses outside, evens the count up at 2-2. Here's the pitch. And he rings them up. Fastball hits the inside part of the plate. And there are 2 up, 2 down here for the Scots. The bottom of the third.
Now batting, third baseman, number 1, Dugan Darnell.
So Dugan Darnell now up to bat. 2 RBI on a double his first time up in this game. He takes a strike.
I've always liked Dugan Darnell's stance because he has very minimal movement with his hands.
That one a little nubber off the bat for out number 3. We've seen that a couple times from today. Having trouble squaring up the ball. And another quick inning for the Bulldogs. 3 up, 3 down. We'll be back for more baseball action when we come back in the top of the 4th. Keep tuned right here to ACTV. Welcome back to this edition of Bulldog Baseball here on ACTV. Top of the 4th inning, 5-0 Bulldogs. As Pierce Banks continues to mow hitters down today. Up to lead off the inning for the Scots is shortstop Van Acker. Fastball across the knees for a strike. One on the outside, flips it off the end of his bat into center field, but Schering runs in and makes the catch for out number 1. A couple of these balls off the bat look like they might fall, but they're hanging up just long enough for these outfielders to make the catch.
Banks doing a nice job so far this evening. Not a lot of hard contact by the Scots so far.
There's a ball outside to the designated hitter Josh Riggs, who struck out looking his first time up. Breaking ball doesn't break back across the plate, and it's 2-0.
Now, we talked in the first game about former shortstop Ryan Doro getting his first major league at-bat. It was in a spring training game against Colorado. But did you know that the Scots have a famous alumni who played in the major leagues? Actually is pretty well known in the Michigan area.
I can't think of the name. I do know this because I remember we took a tour at Alma when we were looking at colleges, and they had his picture on the wall. And I feel bad because I should know this.
He played for the 1968 Tigers. He was their starting center fielder in the series.
There's a walk there by Riggs. So Alma has a man aboard with 1 out here in the top of the 4th. That'll bring up the third baseman, Logan Hough. I feel like I'm losing my credentials for being an announcer. I'm drawing a blank on this. It's
his first name's Jim.
Jim Bunting.
No.
No.
Jim Bunting was a pitcher.
Yeah, that's why when I said it, I knew it was wrong right off the bat. It's that 1968 World Series.
Yes.
Big swing and a miss there by Hough. 0-1.
It's Jim Northrup.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yes. He was a 5-sport athlete for the Scots. He was their quarterback on the football team. He played forward for the basketball team. He was, of course, on the baseball team. And he also ran track and played golf.
Huh. Right off the posts in front of us. He got me a little bit. He got me a little bit, got Tyler a little bit. That just shows how hard that foul ball was hit.
Well, what is that now? It's 1-1. I still got nothing. I didn't flinch on that one.
But it was a very slight flinch by Tyler, so I'm not going to say he did awful.
I noticed it. It was enough to.
Anybody else, they would have been on the ground under the table. So props to Tyler. You stayed on the chair. That's a good start. You know, first game of the season, you got to get that. Runner takes off for second, and it's a flare up the middle. Runner will head to third, and Alma now has something cooking here in the top of the fourth. There are runners on the corners with only one out. Nice piece of hitting there by Logan Hough.
It's like a hit and run, which usually in a hit and run you try to stay away from up the middle, but Hough able to put enough on that one to sneak it through, and number 24 Riggs was able to move all the way to third base.
It's going to bring up the right fielder, Matt Monado. Walked his first time up in this game. And a hard fastball there by Banks, and it makes it 0-1. Banks, when he rears back, he really pops the mitt. He's got life to that fastball.
It's a nice sound when it hits the mitt.
That one sails up and in. Monado able to get out of the way, and it evens the count up.
As we said, he has a lot of cut on his fastball, a lot of downward movement late, and what makes it harder is if you see the shadows have crept over the plate, but he's still in the light. So that ball's going from light to dark, and it's going to mess with the hitter's eyes.
You know, Dodger Stadium out in LA, I know that's a famous stadium for the way the shadows really affect the play, especially when they start the games in those early evening hours.
Yep, any time you're on the West Coast and they're on the ESPN Sunday Night Baseballs, hitters usually have a tough time until the sun goes completely down.
Monado fouls that one out of play. Alma 2 hits in game number 2 so far. Banks gets the sign from Resto, the pitch. A little flare, that's foul on the right side.
Looks like we have about 3 people left on the hill out there in center field.
They look comfy, though. I will give them that.
They got their picnic blanket out there.
They definitely came prepared. Here's the 1-2 pitch from Banks. Another foul ball out of play. One ball, one strike, one out. Top of the fourth here in game number 2. MIAA opening play between Alma and Adrian. Another pickoff throw. Oh, and just got under the tag. Bulldogs don't agree with the call, but first base umpire Larry Bialoruki was right on top of the call.
It's a very nice move by Banks. Quick feet, quick transfer. Pretty much every throw so far today has been right on the bag.
The ground ball, Darnell muffed at third base. Everybody's going to be safe. A run's going to score, and it is now 5-1. Alma trying to claw their way back into this game.
Yeah, tough short hop there up the line. Darnell able to stop it, but wasn't able to field it cleanly. Tough play.
It's going to bring up the left fielder, Jordan and Standig. flew out to sharing out in center field his first time up.
There's left fielder number 6, Jordan Anstey.
First pitch from Banks. Blocked by Resto in the dirt. You've heard coughs in the background in the booth. Flu season especially prevalent here at Adrian College this year, and people just can't seem to shake whatever colds they've had for the past few months.
It's a rough winter here. A lot of people got the flu, more than it seems usual in our 4 years here.
And they're hanging on too. Like you think you go about thinking you're better, and then about a week later you get sick again. You're like, didn't I just have this? But that's what lozenges are for. Power through. It's the 2-0 pitch. Ball 3-0 to Jordan and Standig. Runners on first and second, 1 out. Banks trying to work out of a bit of trouble here. He finds the strike zone with that one, 3-1. Ground ball through the right side hole, a base hit. One runner's going to come in to score. Another one's heading for third. Oh, and a close play at home, but he scores. It is now 2-5 here in game number 2.
Strong throw by Richardson out and right. Nice little one hop to Resto, but just wasn't able to get it there in time.
Off the bat, I did not think that was going to be close. I wrote it off as a run, and then I look up, and the ball's in the glove of Frankie. Almost got him. I don't think the runner was expecting that either.
Yeah, both Rainey and Richardson in the corner outfield positions have very strong arms right out there. So if you're going to send somebody, try to take an extra base, and it's hit to the corner, you better be on your horse.
Big swing and a miss there. Fooled by that off speed was the second baseman, Austin Roweski. Runners in the corners now with still only 1 out. Another pickoff attempt. Safe at first was Ann Standig. Breaking ball misses, 1-1. Pitch from Banks. Fastball inside, 2-1. Foul ball out of play. Nicolay Field chosen to host regionals May 17th through 21st. Second time since the field was built since they'll host regionals. First time since 2009. So in a couple months, this place will be bumping with some of the nation's top teams. Another foul ball out of play. One of the better facilities in Division III for baseball.
Yeah, with the turf field. Definitely in times like this when you have the spring weather and it's kind of iffy what it's going to be. You know, it could be 60 one day, snowing the next day. So having a turf field definitely gives you peace of mind. Plus the benefit of if your opponent's field is too soggy or too wet, you can just play all 4 games here and have a 4-game home field advantage.
And for the Bulldogs, definitely an advantage when you can go out and practice on an actual baseball field in the middle of January simply by shoveling it. There's a ground ball off the glove of McMahon and high into center field. 1 run's going to score, tripped up on his way to third, but still safe was Anstandig. And Alma continues to claw their way back. It's now 3-5.
Yeah, it looked like Cash might have had a play but wasn't able to get the glove down in time and kicks into center field. Looked like a double play in the making, but instead we have runners on first and third with still only 1 out.
After cruising through the first 3 innings, Banks trying to buckle down and get out of it with the lead. Here's Banks, steps off the mound, composes himself. Up to bat now is the center fielder Pete Caravala. Infield single his last time up. So breaking ball for strike number 1. Alma showing that they're not giving up. Even after getting off to a slow start, they're going to stay in it for all 7 innings. So that pickoff throw does not work. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Outside, 1-1.
Banks' fastball looks like it's lost a little bit of movement here this inning. Kind of hanging over the plate rather than having that late action, and Alma's taken advantage of that.
It's a ground ball past the diving Darnell. That's going to score 1 run. And the Scots make it a 1-run game, 4-5 here in the top of the 4th. Bulldogs took a chance by bringing the infield in. Darnell just couldn't get his glove on that.
Yeah, just right past, drawn in on the grass, but couldn't get extended quite enough.
So we'll go back to the top of the Scots lineup. It's the first baseman, Max Trucks. Not before Coach Rainey will call a mound visit, bring his infield in. Both teams now have 5 hits apiece. Still only 1 out for the Bulldogs. We'll take a quick break while Rainey talks to his team, and we'll be right back with more baseball on ACTV. Welcome back to ACTV. Runners on first and second. Bulldogs trying to work their way out of a jam. 4 runs given up so far on the top of the 4th. And we're back to the top of the lineup with first baseman Max Trucks, who hits a ground ball down the first base line, but foul. the Alma dugout alive once again. They're really hungry for this tying run and probably even more.
I mean, you got to give them credit. They were down 5-0 after 1 inning, and they put together some really nice at-bats here in the top of the 4th and find themselves within 1.
The pitch to Trucks, outside, 1-1. Interesting how a game can turn in an instant. Bulldogs blitzed off to a blazing start. And now it's Alma who has the upper hand. Line drive, foul. It's 1-2.
One and two count on Trucks. It's been out in front of the last 2. Maybe try to spin off something soft down and away, see if he can roll it over to Hayes.
Infield playing deep. Pitch. Big swing and a miss, and it's a huge out number 2 for Banks and the Bulldogs.
He went outside, but just gave him the hard heat. Trucks couldn't catch up to it.
2 outs now. That's going to bring up the catcher, Jarrett Coyne. Trying to drive in that tying run from second base. Banks checks his runner at second. Foul ball into the glove of Resto for strike 1. Foul ball off of Coyne for strike 2. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 4-5 here in the top of the 4th. Banks gets the sign from Resto. The pitch fouled straight back. And we've got people saying they did not flinch on that one. It was low. We won't count that one. That one was too low to flinch at.
It ticked the pole, ticked the beam. It made a little bit of a noise that can scare some people.
I don't think so. Yeah, Laura would have hit the ground, is what Patrick said. Laura, if you're listening, we remember last year. We know you're a bit jittery, and we will still make fun of you for it no matter where you are. We also wish you the best of luck at Central. The 1-0-2, big swing and a miss, tosses him the chair. Gives up 4, but doesn't give up the big 5th run. They take that 1-run lead into the bottom of the 4th inning. Keep it tuned right here to Bulldog Baseball on ACTV. Well, you heard it from the PA announcer, Justin McMahon, to lead off the bottom of the 4th inning. He takes a breaking ball for strike number 1 from Joseph Behrens. Bulldogs trying to get back to work after surrendering 4 runs in the top of the 4th. Now only have a 1-run lead. It's 5-4. Another breaking ball, this time in the turf. It's 1-1. Oh, and they're saying that he went, and it's now 0-2. Coach Rainey coming out to have a discussion with first base umpire Larry Bialoruki. Almost got it twice in a row, but I couldn't get it once. They're saying that he swung. Coach Rainey doesn't agree with the call, and he continues his discussion with home plate umpire Ed Marks. He doesn't necessarily agree with having the first base umpire make the call on that rather than having the home plate umpire make the call on that. But nonetheless, 0-2 on Justin McMahon. The ball sails low and outside, 1-2.
May have also been a bit perturbed. Kind of a late call, but he saw it cross the plate, so they made the right call that they felt was right.
Another ball outside, 2-2. Umpiring and refereeing a thankless job. It's one of those jobs where if you do your job right, you don't get talked to, but if you do your job wrong, you're going to hear about it. Caught looking on that fastball. Strike 3, and there's 1 down here in the bottom of the 4th. You know, I said in the first game I thought Alma would lose their voice by the 5th inning. They are still going strong here in game number 2.
They must have done their vocal exercises before the game. Kudos to them. I couldn't keep it up.
Must be choir and music majors.
That's 13 innings of nonstop.
Very impressive.
Yes. Hats off to them.
Behrens fires a strike to Frank Resto to start his at-bat, 0-1. And fouls that one off. Quickly in the hole, 0-2. Middle infield playing back for Alma. And another breaking ball. Frankie caught looking on that one, and back-to-back Bulldogs. Strikeout looking.
Just couldn't pull the trigger on the bender.
Behrens, after a rough first inning, has just cruised through these Bulldog batters. There's now 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th. And looking at the scoreboard, hitless since that first inning. Fastball low, 1-0.
Yeah, Behrens, not as much bite to his pitches as Riggs, but definitely a nice job of locating. Riggs had a little trouble with location, but he's moving the ball all around the plate. He's mixing in his breaking balls well with his fastball, and since that first inning, he's really found his groove, and he's keeping these Bulldog hitters off balance.
Another ball outside, 2-0 on the shortstop, Jordan Torrento. Ground ball down the first base line and fair into the corner. Torrento's going to go for second. Monado gets the ball and throws, but he is safe on the slide, and it's a 2-out double for Jordan Torrento. Sneaks it right up that line. I'll bring up the center fielder, Zach Schering. An opportunity to drive in a 2-out RBI, extend the lead a little bit. There's a strike across the belt right in the middle of the zone, 0-1. Ball high, 1-1. Big swing and a miss on that outside pitch. It's now 1-2.
Looked like a hard horizontal breaking curve or maybe a slider, but nice job of starting it off on the outside of the plate. Just breaks into the left-handed batter's box. Fooled Sharing.
Holds up on that fastball outside, and it's 2-2. Almost the case of Deuces Wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Fouls that one to stay alive. Should Sharon get on, that would bring up Gunnar Rainey.
Home plate umpire giving Coyne some time to shake that one off. As Jim Price says, that's why they're called the tools of intelligence. And they keep you smart.
That they do. Well, it depends on who's catching, I should say. And caught looking again. Sharing doesn't agree with it. But nonetheless, Joseph Behrens carves up Bulldog batters that inning. We'll head to the top of the 5th. They hang on to their 1-run lead. It's 5-4 Bulldogs. Keep it tuned right here for more MIAA baseball. It's opening weekend here on ACTV. Van Acker strides into the batter's box to lead off the top of the 5th inning. Alma trying to keep that momentum going. They scored 4 in the top of the 4th. They now are within 1 run. 6 hits apiece for both teams. Both teams with 1 error. Lays down a bunt. Pierce Banks off the mound and an easy out number 1.
Nimble like a cat.
You got to throw, you got to field, you got to do everything when you're a pitcher. So a quick out for the Bulldogs. That's going to bring up the designated hitter, Josh Riggs. Fires a fastball off the glove of Darnell, but stays with it. And he is out. Number 2. Nice play by Darnell. Off the end of the glove, but bounced up right back into it. Nice way to stay with that.
Number 32, Logan Hough.
I'll bring up the opposing third baseman, Logan Hough. Another ground ball. Diving attempt by Darnell. Torreno will get it, but he doesn't have a chance. That's an infield single for Hough.
3 Alma hitters to start the inning, and all 3 of them swung at the first pitch. So definitely still in attack mode. Continuing what they did in the 4th inning.
I'll bring up the right fielder, Matt Monado. Fouls that one back. 0-1. It's a pop-up right field side. Hayes has room, but it just sneaks out of play. And it's strike number 2. Well, if you still want more Adrian College sport action after this game, head on over to sister channel ACTV2, where the men's volleyball team is in action tonight. Their game starting at 7. So if you still want to see the Bulldogs, make sure you tune on over to that channel. And also subscribe, as there's a high fly ball in the left field. Rainey will haul it in for out number 3. So the Bulldogs escape the mini jam, put a man on board, but nothing doing. We'll head to the bottom of the 5th inning. It is still 4-5. Keep it tuned right here to the original ACTV. Welcome back to this edition of Bulldog Baseball on ACTV. Now, for those of you who don't know, ACTV, completely student-run, by students, for students. Everything you're seeing, from the graphics to the announcers to the camera work, that is all done by Adrian College students. A really great atmosphere to learn the ins and outs of sport broadcasting. So with me, I've got Cody Alexander and Tyler Simmons over at the volleyball game. We've got a couple of communication majors running that. So everything you're seeing is done by students, and a great job all around from all of the ACTV employees.
And of course, Robbie over here on the mic is in charge of ACTV. He does all the scheduling, make sure everything gets done properly. So if you see Robbie on campus, tell him thank you, because without him, you wouldn't be able to stream sports from your dorm room.
Well, thank you, but it's all the crew. My 10 full-time crew members, they do a great job, and I couldn't be more proud of them. There's a strike to the left fielder, Gunnar Rainey. Count goes to 2-1. Joseph Barron's still out there, still carving up batters. 5 runs given up in the first. 1 hit since then, as there's a ground ball to third baseman, but Hough will make the easy play. Ball a little bit in the dirt, but Truck's able to stay with it. There's out number 1 here in the bottom of the 5th. So up now for Adrian is designated hitter Brady Woods. There's a fastball, 0-1.
I was doing some research last night on the Alma baseball squad, and did you know that their head coach was drafted by the Detroit Tigers in 2011?
Ground ball right back up the middle, and it's a base hit for Wood. And he's taken advantage of those opportunities he's given today.
But Coach Sable was drafted by the Tigers in 2011, and after a short minor league career, he played a season with the Frontier League Traverse City Beach Bums, which I know you're a fan of, Robbie.
I'm a big fan of the Beach Bums.
He went 12-6 with the Beach Bums. He had a 2.86 ERA in 147 2/3 innings, and he was named to the Frontier League All-Star team.
So the pedigree is definitely there. I think we'll have to go look up some videos of Jake Sable after this.
Yes, he's a Chippewa, Central Michigan Chippewa alumni. And in his first year at Alma, he amassed a school record 28 wins, and they finished second in the MIAA that year and knocked off the Adrian College Bulldogs in the conference tournament.
Yeah, definitely within the last 5 years, Alma has really turned their baseball program around. They used to be in the bottom of MIAA standings, and they're showing, especially today against Adrian, they're here to win it. So it's out at second base, but thrown away. Hayes will go to second base. So they get an out, but there's a runner in scoring position. And up now is Tristan Richardson, the right fielder. Alma trying to turn another double play today, just didn't pan out. Trucks, nice attempt to try to get that ball, but just a little too much mustard on it, a little too far wide of the bag. Now what they're arguing, I believe, is they're saying that Rainey's slide into second base, they're arguing that it might have been an illegal slide, and that's why the throw was offline.
Yeah, that was Wood, who was called out at second base.
Yes, my apologies.
But I don't know if they're arguing a late slide or what, but Alma definitely saw something that they didn't agree with.
Now, should they rule in favor of Alma, that would mean that'd be the final out of the inning, correct?
Yes, but it looks like they're going to stay with the original call. So Hayes will be safe at second. Wood will still be out. He was forced out.
Sable wants to make his case with home plate umpire Ed Marks now. He had his chance with first base umpire Larry Bielaruki.
As we let Alma plead their case, I'll finish off with my Alma facts. The school was established in 1886, and can you guess what their enrollment is currently?
I'd say it's about close to Adrian. I'm going to guess about, I'll say 1,500.
1,500, you are almost dead on. It is 1,450.
All right.
They have students from 30 different states and 8 different countries outside of the U.S.
Like I said in the earlier broadcast, we visited Adrian, or it might have been this broadcast, we visited Alma before. Yes, it was when we were talking about the center fielder for the Tigers, but a very nice campus, very nice school.
Very nice facilities.
So runner on second, 2 outs. There's a pitch outside to Tristan Richardson. Sun's starting to dip below the tree line here as we head into the later hours of the evening. Hayes, big lead out at second base and a big secondary. Coyne definitely has noticed that, fakes a throw down. I would not be surprised if he were to do a snap throw. Ball in the dirt. 3-0. Sure, Richardson continue this inning. That'd bring up the third baseman, Dugan Darnell. Strike across the knees, 3-1.
According to Richardson's bio, he is a Red Sox fan and also a David Ortiz fan.
Try not to hold that against him. As I got a look from the SID director, who's a big Boston Red Sox fan. We won't hold that against him either.
Richardson's kind of has a setup like Ortiz, slightly open, hands close to the body and low.
So he's a little more crouched, but other than that, yeah. Another ball in the dirt. Hayes goes for third, and he's in with a stolen base. Nice awareness by Hayes. Like I said, he was getting those big secondary leads, and he caught Coyne napping. Usually it's the other way around.
Well, not necessarily Coyne, but Barons wasn't giving too many looks down to second. A nice job by Hough down at third base, keeping that ball in front of him.
And Coach Sable coming out for another infield meeting with his team. But it's actually going to be a pitching change. Joseph Barron's day is over. We'll take a quick break, let the new pitcher warm up, find out who exactly this mystery man is, and we'll be right back with more baseball action on ACTV.
If it's 27, it's Carson Kempe. 27, it's Carson Kempe.
Thank you.
Carson.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Now pitching for Alma is number 27, Carson Kempe. Kempe in place of Joe Barron.
Welcome back to this edition of Bulldog Baseball on ACTV. New pitcher for the Alma Scots. It is freshman left-handed pitcher number 27, Carson Kempe. 3 appearances this year, a 0-0 record with 1 save, 5.1 innings pitched, 3.38 ERA, and 9 Ks. So 9 Ks and 5 innings pitched. He can definitely carve up the batters.
First lefty on the day as well for either side.
Bulldogs with runners in the corners. 2 outs. Dugan Darnell up to bat. We'll take a strike at the knees. 0-1. Hayes on third, Richardson on first. Kempe throws over.
Might want to be careful with those pickoff moves if you're Kempe. To remember that Hayes is on third base, and there's been a couple times today where he's exhibited smart base running.
Pass ball. Hayes is going to come home, and he is safe. 6-4 Bulldogs as they take advantage of, what would you call that, a pass ball or a wild pitch? Wild pitch. It's a wild pitch by Kempe. Richardson will be on second now, so the Bulldogs extend the lead. Darnell has a 1-1 count. Another ball in the dirt. This one blocked by Coins, and it's 2-1. Not exactly what you want to see if you're a coach when you bring in a pitcher and right off the bat, wild pitch, another one in the dirt. And for Joseph Behrens, that means he has another run tacked to his final on the day.
I think I was saying this earlier, but I really like the way that Darnell sets up in the box with minimal hand movement. In youth baseball, a lot of times kids will have a lot of movement with the bat, and that messes with their bat plane. So the stiller you can keep your hands, the better chance you have of keeping a nice flat path through the zone. And it makes you more consistent as a hitter.
And you don't really see a lot of batters here at Adrian that have a lot of movement. Most of them have pretty simplified batting stances.
It's just a rock and go is what it should be. Just a little rock to get the weight back, and then you put it all forward.
Ooh, that one off the ankle. That one couldn't have felt very good. He'll take his free base. And we all know the universal rule. You can't rub it.
Say rub some dirt on it, but too bad for him, we're on a turf field.
Now there's somebody in the Adrian dugout that's telling him to rub it. I don't think he's ever heard the rule before. I think somebody might need to correct him on that.
Ladies and gentlemen, now pitch batting for the Bulldogs is number 20.
Luckily, we have an excellent training staff here, so I'm sure he'll get some ice after the game.
Pinch hitter for Justin McMahon. It's Game 1's DH, Chad Paddock, a junior out of Kalamazoo, and a chance to drive in a couple more insurance run for the Bulldogs here with 2 outs. And he'll take a strike on the outer half of the plate to start his at-bat 0-1. Both Richardson and Darnell can burn you on the base paths. I'm trying to say my THs too soon.
Still getting the first game jitters out of the way.
Exactly. Another ball in the dirt for Kempe. Like I was saying, both have speed. They can burn you. So a mistake could be very costly here by the Scots. Another pass ball or another wild pitch or another pass ball could be dangerous. That ball low and outside, 2-1. Here's the pitch. Misses low, 3-1. Kempe in danger of loading the bases here late in the game. The pitch to Paddock. And drive up. Oh, nice play by the shortstop. An Acker highlight reel play right there. I thought that was going to get through. Instead, it's out number 3. The Bulldogs still scratch across the run, extend their lead by 2. We head to the top of the 6th inning. It is 6-4 Bulldogs, and we'll be right back with more baseball on ACTV.
place of Jack Bennett.
Pierce Banks back out to work here in the top of the 6th inning. Defensive change. We've got O'Keefe out at second base taking over for McMahon. So just like in game number 1, O'Keefe's going to finish it out there in the middle infield. And up now for the Scots is the left fielder number 6, Jordan Anstandig.
Had an RBI single his last time at bat.
Scots coming down to their final at-bats, trying to scratch across just a few more runs. Banks throws a strike in there to start the at-bat, 0-1. That ball just misses, 1-1. Here's the 1-1. Ball high, 2-1. 7 hits apiece for both teams. Alma with 2 errors on the day. Bulldogs have 1, which I believe was back in the first inning. I believe it was first batter, actually. It's a foul ball on the left side. Looks like we've gathered a little bit more of a crowd out on the hill.
I'm going to guess they left for dinner. You know, Richie's only open 5 to 7 here, the dining hall.
It's true.
Want to make sure that they got their food before it closed.
Or maybe, you know, just got a little bit of cane. I know that's where we're going to go after the game. Nice chicken wrap. The breaking ball misses low, and the count runs full. Now, something we haven't noted is that the Bulldogs actually switched uniforms between games. I believe they have 4 uniforms this year.
I think so.
So they're letting you know what they got.
Well, you got to flaunt what you got, and they got new threads. Out of the 2 that they've worn today, which one's been your favorite?
There's a ball 4 to Anstandig. You know, I like them both, but I got to go with I'm going to say game 1 threads. They're a little newer, so I've got some disagreements up in the booth. Now I'm going to go with game 1, the classic white, you know, gold uniform. It's a little more different. These jerseys, I'm not saying I don't like these jerseys, but, you know, the other ones were a little more fresh.
I gotta say my favorite, it's not this one and it's not the first game. They have just classic gray.
Yes, I would agree with you on that.
With just black lettering. Very clean look. That's my favorite. They haven't shown them today, but
a little bit of a throwback.
Yes, it's kind of a retro look.
I think they should try to dig up like those 1930 uniforms, see how far back they can go.
I remember at one time there was a rumor that we were going to get the black pinstripes like Vandy has.
I do remember that. That was our freshman year. That was a rumor.
I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that. That's a bit of a bold look right there. There's a strike in there. The second baseman, Roweski. It counts 0-2. Alma dugout still cheering their guys on. They're not giving in. That one misses inside. It's 1-2. Somebody with a nice falsetto down there. I told you, I said I bet there's some choir students down there. I think I just found one of them. It's probably led the vocal warm-ups before the game. Banks steps off, recomposes.
Roweski is an education major out of Warren, Michigan.
1-2 pitch. Again on the top of the turf, 2-2.
Roweski's brother Ryan played baseball over at Olivet College, so little inter-conference rivalry between the siblings.
Gets him looking with a breaking ball. Stood there like a house on the side of the road. And there's one down here in the top of the 5th.
Batting center fielder number 4, Carvalho.
Both Parsons and Banks, master carpenters out there today. Really just carving up batters, tossing chairs. Very effective in this first game of MIAA action. Their pickoff throw almost got him again. Ball low. It's 1-0 to the center fielder Pete Caravala.
Resto might want to keep an eye over at first base, and Standig has a big secondary. Only down by 2, might try to push the envelope a little bit, make something happen.
He hits the outside corner with that one, 1-1. So 1-1 in the dirt, but blocked by Resto. The standing will have to stay on first. It's a fly ball in the right field. Richardson camped under it and hauls it in for out number 2. Standig will go back to first base, and there are 2 outs here in the top of the 6th inning. So back to the top of the Alma lineup now. It's first baseman Max Trucks.
Banks has struck Trucks out his last 2 at-bats, both swinging.
Another ball in the dirt, blocked by Resto. And the Standig will have to retreat back to first.
The Dogs have action in the bullpen right now. Looks like 2 right-handers down there.
Bernard taking off for a second, throw by Resto. And the Standig is in with a stolen base as that ball rolls into the center field. Scots now have a runner in scoring position with 2 outs.
Got through Torreno's legs, but looked like he might have deked. And Standig down there wasn't aware that the ball had gotten into the outfield, so lucky break by the Dogs right there.
1-1 on Caravella. Ground ball. Hayes will take it, flips to Banks. And there's out number 3. Bulldogs escape without a run. We'll head to the bottom of the 6th inning, 4-6 Adrian. Keep it tuned right here to MIAA opening action on ACTV. Carson Kempe gets back to work here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Meanwhile, Bulldogs going to try to tack on a few more insurance runs before they head to the final inning, barring extra innings. And up now is the catcher, Frank Resto. He watches a ball in the dirt, 1-0.
Looks like Resto switched bats again, going with the Marucci this time around.
It's early in the season, you know, he's trying to pick and choose, see which one he wants to take into the grind of the games, as Kempe has a wild pitch there. Frankie, a very charismatic spirit, loved by the entire campus. So he watches a strike on the outer black, 2-1. So remember, our freshman year, Frank lived across from me and Cody in Feeman Hall. There was one night I woke up at 3:30 in the morning, smelled smoke, was curious, so I walked across the hall, as he fouls that one back, to find him and his roommate Christian were grilling chicken on a panini press at 3 in the morning. And I said, guys, why are you grilling chicken at 3 in the morning? And they looked at me and they're like, well, we're hungry. We're going to make some fajitas. I guess the fajitas were pretty good. So that was freshman year, and now we know that Frank likes to cook chicken on a panini press, as he fouls that one back again. And that's just one of many stories from Frank.
Looking back, we should have stuck around, had him cook us a meal.
I told him to run me some. He just never did.
More for them.
There's a line drive into center field, and Resto is aboard with a base hit to lead off the bottom of the 6th. They'll bring up the shortstop, Jordan Torrento, trying to keep the train growing and moving. A couple more settle into the hill to watch these final innings of Nicolay Field opening day. That one just misses inside. It's 1-0. I'm not sure Kempe agreed with the call. Kempe checks Resto at first, pickoff. Almost got him, but instead he throws it away. Resto on his way to second. And what almost was caught napping was instead a break for the Bulldogs. There's now a runner in scoring position with no outs.
Kempe has the step back, face the first base move, which, as we saw earlier, sometimes your throws aren't as good as you're hoping they'll be when you open up to your target.
Toronto shows bunt down the first base line. Resto will take third. He is out. Thought he dropped the ball for a second, but he hung on. Sacrifice bunt for Jordan Torrento. Moves Resto to third base. And not Tristan Richardson, excuse me. It is the leadoff hitter, Zach Schering. I thought I saw a 16 there, and I'm like, that's not right in the order. Zach Schering now has a chance for an RBI and to extend the Bulldog lead.
You'll get Schering by the end of the season.
I very much apologize to Zach Schering. I want to get your name, but it just will not stick with me today. I promise by next weekend I'll have it. It's a case of Jason Schrader all over again. Last year we called Jason Schroeder for half of the season. We've now got his name right. I have like 3 classes with him, so.
Luckily he was a good spirit about it.
He was.
When we told him about it.
Very good guy. Schering down in the count, 0-2. Here's the pitch. Big swing and a miss. And they're now 2 down. So that'll bring up left fielder Gunnar Rainey. Trying to drive in one last insurance run before we head to the 7th. Kempe's ball is in the turf and skids across home plate for ball number 1.
Little known fact about Rainey that I just found out. He raises ducks.
Ducks.
That's what it says in his bio. He raises ducks.
Fouled out of play on the right side. Now, does that mean in turn that his father, Coach Rainey, also raises ducks? Or is this strictly Gunnar's hobby?
You know, that's something we should ask them. Because this is new information to me. I did not know that that was a hobby of his.
Well, we've got 1 duck on the pond. Let's see if he can drive them in.
Maybe that might be a typo. Maybe instead of raising ducks, he just drives them in. And that's when you cue in the cymbal and the drum crash.
We don't have that in our budget, so we're just going to ignore that little attempt at a joke. Another ball on the turf. 3-1 on Rainey. Kempe checks Resto at third. The delivery. And it's a strike across the knees, full count. Pitch. Ground ball over to the shortstop. Acker will throw over to first for out number 3. Dogs can't scratch across another run, but they'll head to the top of the 7th with a 2-run lead. It's 6-4. And we'll be right back with more MIAA baseball action on ACTV.
For the Bulldogs, in the bottom half of the 6th inning, they get no runs on, 1 hit. There was 1 Alma error and 1 left on base.
I'm just saying we're out of tissues. Stop it. Actually, let's see it. Let's see it. I want to see the lights come on.
No, we do not need to lose.
We do. I'm feeling 17 innings. They got an off day tomorrow. But we don't. They can take it.
We've got 4 more games this weekend.
Final call for the Alma Scots, 6-4 Adrian lead here in the top of the 7th inning. And as we said earlier, because game 1 went to extra innings, this changed this game 2 from 9 innings to 7 innings, which means Alma needs to score 2 or more runs or else their day and their chance at a victory is done. First pitch from Pierce Banks is outside for ball 1. Banks ran into some trouble back in the 4th inning, but in the 5th he seemed to calm down, kind of find his stride once again. We'll see if he can continue that, as the catcher Jarrett Coyne fouls that one back. Brings the count to 1-1.
Coyne is 0 for 2 on the day. He had a nice sacrifice bunt back in the first inning.
Resto flashes the signs behind the dish. Here's the pitch. Another ball off the plate, 2-1. That ball high, 3-1. Banks slowed his tempo down just a little bit in this inning, taking just a little bit more time between pitches. Here's the 3-1 pitch. It's a ball low and outside, and the leadoff man for the Scots is aboard. So I'll bring up the shortstop, number 13, Van Acker.
Shortstop number 13, Van Acker.
The first pitch, strike, 0-1.
Van Acker had that sparkling diving play back in the 5th inning. And a line drive by Chad Paddock, full extension up the middle.
That ball hangs high, 1-1. And Coyne with a sharp secondary down at first base.
Van Acker hails from Eaton Rapids, Michigan.
A fly ball into right field. Bermuda Triangle territory. Richardson giving chase, and he'll make the catch up against the fence for out number 1. Tristan Richardson giving that line a workout today.
Next batter, designated hitter number
So that'll bring up the designated hitter, Josh Riggs. And the Bulldogs would love to see a double play ball here to end the game. Big swing and a miss there by Riggs, and it's 0-1. I think he had his shoes tied because he swung out of them, trying to find that gap and get the Scots closer to tying this game, if not taking the lead. Point off for second, ground ball. Torreno will make the stop. He'll hold the ball so Coyne cannot take advantage and move to third. Smart play by Torreno. But still trouble for the Dogs as there are now runners on first and second with only 1 out.
Just like the first game, the Scots are not giving up that easily. Continue to put pressure on the Bulldogs defense in the late innings.
Now up to bat is the third baseman, Logan Hough. Bulldogs have a couple men up in their pen. There's a fly ball into center field. Sharon giving chase. Richardson will end up making the catch. Coyne will move to third. So it's an out 2 now in the inning. And there are runners on first and third. Now remember, there's a 2-run lead, so that That runner on third does not matter, which is somewhat comforting for the Dogs.
Next batter, right fielder number 17, Matt Monado.
I'll bring up the right fielder, Matt Monado. Last chance for the Scots. Banks looking to end it right here. Here's the first pitch. Flare into right field, down the line, and it's out of play. So Monado will trot back to the batter's box. Banks gets the sign, the pitch. Breaking ball in there for a strike. And the Bulldogs one away from completing the afternoon sweep. Runners take their leads. Pitch inside, 1-2. One ball, two strikes, two outs, 6-4 Bulldogs. Should Monado get on, and Standig is on deck. Here's the pitch from Banks. High, but he doesn't chase, and it's 2-2.
It's two straight fastballs there by Banks. Let's see if he tries to challenge him again or try to fool him with the off speed. He got him to take strike two, which was a breaking ball.
Fouls that one off and stays alive.
That was a tough pitch on the outer half of the plate.
Scott's not going down without a fight. The 2-2, runner off from first, and fouled back again. Breeze shifted slightly in from right field. The 2-2 again. But instead it's the old first to third, or third to first look. The pitch. Breaking ball, fouled back again.
Just left that one up a little too much. It started it at the knees. He might have swung over top of it, but it was not the case.
Monado putting up a fight here. Bulldogs one strike away from the win. Here's the pitch from Banks. Ground ball, Darnell has it. Throw over to first, Hayes with the pick. And out, nice pick by Hayes to end the game. Pierce Banks goes the distance. Complete game, 6-4 win for the Bulldogs. And they sweep the afternoon series and the MIAA home opener and opener in general against the Alma Scots.
Way to bounce back from that first game. The offensive side of things, they only scored 3 runs, but this time they were able to break open 5 in the first inning. Banks, a nice job of battling back from giving up 4 runs. Just a nice, well-played game. A couple defensive miscues in both games for both sides, but still early. They'll be able to work through that. And if this is any sign for the MIAA season to come, I think it's going to be a pretty fun season to watch.
Yes, great game by both teams. Alma not giving it at all, really giving the Bulldogs a fight, and the Dogs proving why they have been at the top of the standings for so many years in a row. They've lost big pieces. A lot of seniors graduated last year that were very important to this lineup, and they're showing that they just keep bringing the players up that they need to compete.
Yeah, a few new players trying to find their roles, find out what they need to do to make this team better. But, I mean, when you have so many pieces that were such a big part of the team for so long, there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment period. So while they might have made a few miscues communication-wise and otherwise, I think that they'll work through it, and eventually they'll start filling in the roles that they need to make this another successful season.
So they'll take a day off tomorrow, head out to Alma for the rest of the 4-game series on Sunday afternoon. Until next Saturday will be the next home game against the rival Kalamazoo Hornets. And Cody, there is no lost love between these two. They really do not like each other.
No, both have lost a couple of big pieces, but have started off strong in the MIAA, and it'll definitely be a fun series to watch. But as we said, 2 games against Alma on Sunday, and if today was any indication, it will be another 2 hard-fought games on both sides.
So 3-2 extra inning win in game 1. They take game 2, 6-4. Great way for the Dogs to open up MIAA play. Until next time, this has been Robbie Alexander with Cody Alexander and everybody here at ACTV. Have a great night, a great weekend, and we will catch you next time here on ACTV.